Ever wondered why Scary Movie 1 and 2 were great and the rest were just disappointing? Well, that's because the Wayans brothers did a fantastic job with the script and the plot, but then they were cut off and everything got stolen from them. That's according to Marlon Wayans, who also named some personalities in Hollywood as evil, and he plans to take legal action. In this video, we're discussing the creation of the Scary Movie franchise, and if indeed it was stolen from the Wayans brothers. Wayans made an appearance on Kevin Hart's Comedy Mind podcast to slam the Weinstein Company for stealing Scary Movie. Marlon detailed that he, Keenen Ivory, and Shawn Wayans were forced to move on after the Weinsteins snatched the Scary Movie franchise from them. I'm like, nigga, they took it from us.
That franchise, broke records by a black director, black producer, and black writers.
Till recently when Get Out and Black Panther came out.
I think those were bigger, but they eclipsed it.
The Wayans are like the Jacksons of comedy. Movies like Little Man, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, and White Chicks are cult classics. But nothing quite hits the spot like Scary Movie 1 and 2. The Scary Movie franchise reinvented the horror comedy genre. Instead of just mixing scares with jokes, it went all in on making fun, cracking jokes non-stop. The writing was new and brought a breath of fresh air to funny spoof films. And it didn't even try to be polite or politically correct, and the people loved it. Originally, Scary Movie was a family affair. It was directed by Keenen Ivory Wayans and starred the brothers Marlon and Shawn, who co-wrote the movies. However, the Wayans had a difficult time getting a studio to back the first Scary Movie film, but after being turned down by every studio in Hollywood, the Weinstein Company, founded by brothers Bob and Harvey Weinstein, decided to take a chance on the low-budget comedy. But little did the Wayans know what they signed themselves into. While the Wayans brothers were working on their Scary Movie script, a different horror parody was being developed in parallel, written by Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer. Dimension Films chief Bob Weinstein said both scripts had funny points, though the studio favored the Wayans script a little more. They didn't use much from the alternate script, though some structural things were helpful from that project. Scary Movie, which opened in theaters on July 7, 2000, was a parody of a variety of horror and mystery films and television shows, including Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, and The Sixth Sense. In the first film, Cindy and her friends are terrorized by a killer while at high school. Scary Movie 1 follows Anna Faris, John Abrahams, Regina Hall, Shannon Elizabeth, and Shawn Wayans, a group of high school students who accidentally kill someone, borrowing from the plot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. The students are haunted by what they did as masked killers, resembling the Scream villain, emerges to murder them all. Meanwhile, their friend played by Marlon Wayans is too high to know that he's in danger. The film received mixed reviews from critics but was loved by viewers. Scary Movie was a massive hit, earning $278 million worldwide on a $19 million budget. The success of the first led to 4 additional sequels. Scary Movie 2 was released a year later in 2001. The second film is also a collection of parodies, this time of supernatural and haunted house films throughout the years. It made less money than the first at the box office, coming in at just over $140 million. The reviews for Scary Movie 2 was mainly negative from critics. After the first 2 films, the Wayans brothers were no longer heavily involved with the franchise when the third installment rolled around because it was swiftly snatched by the Weinstein Company. Marlon likened the relationship to one between slaves and slave masters. He recounts being used and being thrown away after he and his brothers had developed the franchise. The third installment was brought to the screens by Dimension Films and the Wayans brothers. Involvement was reduced to writing credits. Marlon strongly claims that Harvey Weinstein and his brother Bob stole the franchise and are guilty of unsavory business tactics.
We didn't walk away from a franchise. They didn't want to make our deal, and they snatched it.
Weinsteins did some really terrible, rape and pillage villages type of business, so it wasn't that we ever walked away from the franchise that we created. It was taken, and us being the creatives that we are was like, all right, bet. F you. Now watch what I create. To make matters worse, Marlon Wayans was on a Christmas vacation when he found out that he had been dropped from the franchise, which he and his brother co-wrote and helped to develop.
Second one, they rushed us into, and then the third one, by the third one, they didn't want to pay the money, so they snatched it. We found out on Christmas that they hired somebody else to go do it.
The third installment earned around $220 million worldwide, while the fourth grossed $178 million and the fifth installment was just $78 million. The 47-year-old comedian revealed that not only did he and his brothers learn that they had been dropped from the Scary Movie franchise by reading it on Christmas Eve, but that the defunct Weinstein Company still owes them a lot of money. Wayans also admitted that a lawsuit should have been filed, and he and his family may one day circle back.
We probably should sue for hundreds of millions of dollars because they probably owe us a shitload of money. And maybe one day we will, but that we didn't walk away from our franchise. Them niggas took it.
Well, although the Wayans should indeed sue for their money, in 2018, the Weinstein Company reportedly filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Then, in 2021, the company was approved to start the process of a liquidation plan by a U.S. bankruptcy court judge, according to a deadline. Based on these, only time will tell if the Wayans brothers will get the money Marlon claims they are owed. Today, the Weinstein name is not one that anyone in Hollywood wants to be associated with. Again, karma took effect, and Harvey Weinstein was first brought under fire when the New York Times published decades of sexual harassment allegations against him in October 2017. Weinstein was then charged with first and third-degree rape, as well as committing a sexual act in the first degree in May 2018. He was immediately fired from the Weinstein Company, but it didn't stop there. Ultimately, after several more accusations and lawsuits, he was sentenced to 23 years in prison, 20 years for criminal sexual act, and 3 years for rape. In March 2020, jabbing at Harvey, who's currently serving 23 years in prison for sexual abuse, Marlon said,
I ain't gotta say shit. One of them niggas is in jail right now.
Yeah.
What rape?
They did it in their business. They were evil as fuck. Despite the bad blood between the Wayans and the Weinsteins, Marlon and Sean were invited back to be involved with Scary Movie 5. However, by that time, the brothers had moved on from the franchise. Marlon revealed that the franchise itself was tired by 2013 when the fifth installment was released. Collectively, the entire franchise has managed to gross just short of $1 billion, clocking in at $895 million worldwide. In 2019, Forbes placed Scary Movie on its list of the 25 highest-grossing horror movies ever. The outlet reported that its lifetime domestic gross was anywhere from $159 million to $262.5 million at that time. The Wayans brothers may have created the Scary Movie franchise, but it still belongs to Dimension Films. However, towards the end of his discussion on the subject, Marlon Wayans stated that he was grateful for the lesson the experience taught him.
I'm not even angry about it. I'm actually, you know how you go through shit and you go, I'm grateful. And I thank God for that lesson.
I learned a lot. I learned so much. Those nuggets were expensive. Nuggets that I will carry the rest of my journey. And despite the beef, the Scary Movie franchise is one that we cannot forget, and no doubt one of the greatest horror comedy shows ever. Do you agree that the franchise was stolen from the Mayan brothers? Or do you think Mayan is clout chasing? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and comment.